Average Joe's Drive-In is proudly sponsored by the Maine Cannababes. The Cannababes are a charity group of pro-cannabis women from the state of Maine who are bringing worthy attention to various causes in the medical cannabis community. This year, they launched their very first Maine Cannababes pinup calendar, which they are taking pre-orders for as we speak. All the proceeds from the calendar are going to worthy charitable causes. If you are interested in purchasing one or finding out more about the Cannababes, you can go to their website, www.mainecannababes.com, or find them on most major forms of social media like Facebook and Instagram. If you order a calendar and enter the code word Average Joe's Drive-In, you could win a chance to get an autographed picture of your favorite Maine Cannababe. Once again, put in the code word Average Joe's Drive-In for a chance to win an autographed picture of your favorite Maine Cannababe.
Sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In.
And now, on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn. Happy 2018. This is my first regular podcast of the year, although I did just do a review cast earlier today. But with me, returning to the show for a second time, is my amazingly awesome and talented friend, Rachel Leavitt. Rachel, how's it going? Are you staying warm down your way?
Oh, I wish I was. I'm so cold.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
For those of you who don't know, like a lot of the country right now, it is just been like a crazy cold snap. We've had below zero temps, like down to like negative 20s and 30s with the wind chill pretty much for a week solid. And it doesn't look like it's going to warm up anytime soon for like the next week or so. So we still got like another week of this. And yeah, it's brutal. It's part of living in Maine, but I'm not used to cold weather like this for long periods of time like this. So
right? This is awful. I saw that we might have a high of like 22 on Wednesday, and I was like, woohoo! Like, bust out the bathing suit.
Yeah,
Great.
that's right. Heat wave. That's shorts and beach weather. So,
right?
Yeah, we're looking at, I think they said like 2 days where the temperatures are actually going to be somewhat reasonable, which that's sad when we're talking like high teens and 20s is reasonable and warm, so. But hey, that's like a 40 to 50 degree temperature difference from what we've been experiencing, so I'll take it, I guess, you know.
Right.
Maine is a beautiful state, and we have awesome weather about 6-7 months out of the year, and then we have these 5 months of the year where the weather sucks and it's cold and miserable, but I still wouldn't trade it for the world. I love my home state, so.
Me too.
So, since the last time Rachel was on the show, she has started a new project. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your project?
Well, it's, I do a lot of, like, super clean eating and making my own stuff, like, literally right down to my stocks, and, you know, I'm all about, if I can make it, why the hell not? Like, the less I consume that I'm not supposed to, the better. So I started doing all this stuff, and people kept asking me for the recipes for my meals and how I'm saving all this food and how I do this on not like no money. You know, you got to invest a little bit, but it's not like I'm dumping hundreds of dollars into food every week. And so instead of trying to get back to multiple messages a day on top of my hair messages and the music stuff, I decided to create Rachel Rage's Bite Me blog.
And I love that name, by the way. That fits you very perfectly.
Well, Jenny Plum came up with the Rachel Rage part because of Rachel Ray. She thought that was hilarious, and I completely agreed. And then Justine, you know Jess?
Yep.
She came up with the Bite Me blog.
So you just kind of combine the two into one thing, yeah.
Right. I love them both so much. And I had to try to use them both, so.
And
so it's,
for people who don't know, a lot of Rachel's recipes are like gluten-free and dairy-free and such, if I remember right, correct?
yeah, well, anything that I make, and that's the funny thing when people are like, tell me what you do. All I do is I can't have the gluten part, so I just figure out a way to make it gluten-free. And when it comes to the dairy part, anything that I've made that has dairy in it, I've also made with non-dairy products, and it comes out pretty much just the same, if not better.
Yeah.
So I always try to include dairy-free versions as well as, but, I try to give people options, because not everyone's dairy-free, not everyone's gluten-free.
Right.
So
there's so many different things out there now, especially when it comes to recipes with different allergies and sensitivities to like different food stuff. I actually made one of Rachel's recipes that she put up. I made her spicy sausage soup, and it is amazing. And
it is super good.
and everybody, I didn't do it quite the same way she did, but it was pretty close, and I just modified it a little bit because I was lacking a couple ingredients because I forgot them. But it still came out really good, and everybody that tried it just was like, man, this is amazing. And
yay, that's great.
I had like 3 different people that tried it out, and they all loved it. And so, yeah, and I loved it. It didn't take long for it to go. And the thing is, like, it made enough for me, even with feeding 2 or 3 other people with it, and some of them had multiple servings. And I still had enough for like 2 or 3 meals out of it, so.
Well, exactly, and here, like, because I'll make food in batches like that, and we'll eat it, that night, and then my husband might take some for lunch the next day, but whatever doesn't get eaten, I put in single-serving quart-sized bags, and I freeze them.
Which is a good idea, yeah.
Well, that's part of what my food blog's all about, is between not just the recipes and making them with super, super clean ingredients, but it's also about, pinching every last. We all got to be able to eat in order to not die. Or not eat, but how do I want to put that? We all have to eat in order to not die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
no, definitely. Food's very important.
So when people are spending hundreds of dollars on all this food that unfortunately goes bad, there's always a way to save it. 9 times out of 10, there's always a way to save it. Even your fresh vegetables that are about to go bad, you can make veggie stock from your vegetable scraps.
See, now that's something I think like everybody can kind of get into and understand that, with the price of food, and a lot of people are on very limited budgets, or you really got to watch what you're spending your money on. I think a lot of people are becoming more aware of the fact of what they're buying and eating and throwing out, and it's great to be able to go to the store and buy a frozen pizza or buy something pre-made, but at the same time, if you really break down, and this is something I hear, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody, of going, it's really expensive to eat healthy, and it is expensive, but at the same time, I think if you are going out to eat a lot, or you're buying a lot of pre-made meals, if you really break it down for the amount that you're getting making stuff, it's just as cheap or close to it to make it your own, make it yourself and, freeze some of it up. You don't have to eat it all in one sitting. And I think that's what a lot of people get into that mindset. If I cook something, I need to eat all of it right now, or I'm going to have to throw it out. People don't think about freezing up servings, or, and sometimes
freezing or canning or anything.
Right, and sometimes that's not necessarily an option for everybody, which I do understand, but
correct.
I think a lot of us can do that, and save out on stuff. It's like, I know you're not a big meat eater, but it's the same way with buying. If you can buy meats in bigger quantities, it's cheaper. So you separate out your meals and you freeze stuff up. yes, with meat, unless you have a vacuum sealer, you do have to eat it, in a fairly reasonable time frame, or you're liable to get freezer burn and, it's no good or whatever. But, like, I noticed something you do a lot with, like, your leftover meat stuff is you make stocks with it, like your broth or whatever, like your chicken or...
Yeah, I was just about to say, when it comes to that whole eating healthy thing, you buy a young chicken and they're like between $6 and $7. It has 3 uses for me, and I can feed my family on that one chicken 3 times.
So
that's a lot.
That's $7. You couldn't go, with like in your case, you have a family of 4. You couldn't even go to McDonald's with one trip and get 2 things off the dollar menu for each person in your family for that $7 that you're $6 or $7 you're spending, to make your one meal.
And that's my whole point when people tell me, well, I can't eat healthy because I can't afford it. Nobody can afford to eat healthy. It's just a matter of really sitting down and analyzing things and what you eat and how you eat it and what you can do with it in the future and how you're going to get it from point A to point B as far as getting it to that future. I don't know why it dawned on me one day, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I hate cleaning up my fridge and literally throwing all my hard-earned money out in the trash. That's literally what you do, and that stinks. That's awful.
Something like I've really been trying to do more of this myself in the last year or two. I used to have a tendency like I would go to the store and I would buy, because I get, my job, I get paid bi-weekly, so I would go and buy all my groceries for 2 weeks in one shot. And what happened was I found out that I either was not using stuff and it would just, accumulate in my cupboard, or I would throw stuff out as far as like vegetables or things like that because I didn't eat it all in time. So what I started doing is instead of going once every 2 weeks, I go every 2 or 3 days and buy, the stuff, the fresh produce or whatever that I'm going to use. And I've also found by doing that, I tend to eat better because I'm not buying stuff that I need to freeze up. I'm able to buy a little more on like the fresh vegetables and hit sales and different things like that. And it has, it's been very helpful that way.
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly what I do. Unless, like, when Christmas is rolling around and I did cook for Christmas, I planned everything out for that week before because of the fact that it was a holiday coming up and everything was going to be closed. But other than that, I do go to the grocery store a couple times a week and get what I need instead of, taking out X amount of dollars for 2 weeks and then blowing it that one day. Not blowing it, but you know what I mean. Investing it that one day.
Oh, exactly.
and then you got all this food and it just sits there.
Now,
I can't even stand it.
Now, something else I wanted to ask you about, and this is something I would have never thought of, and I believe it was you that posted it, but like canned salad, like canning salad and making like your own dressings and stuff. That's something else I noticed you do.
I make my own salad dressings. It's because when I was told that I couldn't, well, I still can't, obviously, have gluten anymore, I've had to turn around the back of everything. I can't even have a can of soup from, the grocery store that's already pre-made because 9 times out of 10 there is some type of wheat product in it for like a thickening agent. So I started, just out of curiosity, most salad dressings don't have gluten in them, but I started turning them around. And Newman's Own, in particular, has one called olive oil and vinegar. So when you read the label like that, I think, okay, so it's just going to be olive oil and vinegar and probably some seasonings. And when I turn it around, it's totally not just olive oil and vinegar. And that's when I said, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to make my own salad dressings too. It can't be that hard, and it's super, stupid easy to do.
Now, with a canned salad thing, you do that, correct?
I don't like, if a lot of people put their salads in like mason jars for the week and they'll stick them in the fridge.
Yeah.
and just take them out as they go. I've done it before, but I don't do it all the time.
Well, because I was curious about that. Like, knowing most of the time, like, I buy bag salad. I have the stuff that I get, I get 2 meals out of it so it doesn't go bad, and
right.
That's what I get. It's only cost me a couple bucks for it, and it's all mixed and whatever, and then I don't have to worry about having leftovers with it or it going bad and that sort of thing. But I know with like salad, even with a bag salad, as soon as I open it, you really only have like 2 or 3 days to eat that before it starts to turn. So I was kind of curious by canning it how that preserves the stuff without adding something to it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a really good question. I should look that up.
I don't know. Is it just because of like being sealed with airtight or whatever? And, do you need to blanch them and so the cans pop? And
oh, I couldn't do that to have you canned anything before?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I've canned vegetables, and I make my own jams and jellies and stuff like that, and
really? That's cool.
Mincemeat and that sort of stuff. I've done that, canned that stuff, or pickled beets, pickles, that sort of thing.
I would be so scared to actually can a salad, only because of the fact that like I actually canned some jalapenos this past summer, and jalapenos, even like, cucumbers for pickles and stuff, they're so touchy on like the cooked or the boil time for the water bath to get them to actually seal. And I remember opening up the jalapenos and I was super excited. We're having taco night and I had gluten-free wraps and I was just going to be a huge pig. And I put the jalapenos on top of my burrito there and I bit into it and I thought I was going to throw up because they were all mushy and gross. And all it takes is like 30 more seconds for something to go horribly wrong with canning.
Well, the good thing with canning is most of the stuff when you're putting in your preservatives, which most of the time anything that I have used preservatives on is like pickling salts or whatever.
Right.
If you look on the back of those bags or boxes or whatever you're using, it tells you basically what to do and like recipes and things like that. And you can also find it online. It's a matter of it. And the other thing is, when you're pickling stuff, is you need to let stuff sit for 2 or 3 weeks before you open it, generally.
Oh, yes.
Because otherwise it doesn't absorb any of the flavors, or it's kind of one of those weird things. But I thought about that with that spicy sausage soup recipe, about that you could can those up and...
Oh, you totally can. I've done it before.
And, then you could use them. You wouldn't have to use them immediately or unthaw them. Then they would already be canned and that sort of thing. And the other thing with that is they're already hot. So if you seal them, they should seal on their own without having to dip them.
Exactly.
So.
Especially if you take them like right off the stove and put them right into the can.
Oh, yeah.
That does make sense. I never thought of that.
Because I've done that. I've had that happen before, like when I've made pickles or jams. When you put them in, they're already hot enough that they suck the air down and they seal the cans that way. Especially with the newer style canning process of the separate lids, and before, like back in the olden days, long time ago when I was little, we always used to have stuff in, like we had my family always had a garden and we always canned stuff for the winter and did all that sort of thing. And, the old cans were had these metal rings on them that you would seal down. They had these rubber band things you put around. You had to blanch them, which is what they call putting them into hot water.
Right, yeah. That's what I do with my vegetables.
But with these newer style ones, depending on what you're doing, you almost don't have to do that from what I've experienced. But you've got to pay attention. You have to press down on the middle after an hour or two and make sure they're popped. And if they're indented, that means they've sealed. If not, then you still have to blanch them. It's kind of one of those things you got to pay attention to in order to do.
Yeah, canning has been a learning process for me.
Yeah.
I'm still learning about it, which is why I've been freezing stuff forever. So when I'm lazy and I don't feel like learning that day, I just blanch things and freeze them.
Well, like the canning thing, though, I think is more practical for some people than freezing, because I just have the little freezer that's on my fridge. I don't have a separate chest freezer or anything, so my space is limited on the amount of stuff I can freeze up. So by
absolutely.
canning, you have a few more options. You don't have to put it in the freezer. You know, if you have a food pantry, or you can even buy like a little closet or something at Walmart or IKEA. You know, like a bookshelf, and take that and turn it into like a food pantry thing, and then just put something over the front of it to kind of keep the light out so it doesn't ruin anything or whatever, you know.
Right. Well, that as well, I just thought of, because I remember when, I don't know how many days you were without power back in October when we had that weird, random, like, wind and rainstorm.
4 hours.
That's it?
Yeah, there was people in my town that were without power for days and days. I happened to be on the main power grid of all the businesses and stuff in town, so mine went out in the afternoon and was like back on almost as soon as I got home.
Oh my God, I wish. We were without it for 6. And I can't complain. My husband did bring home a generator. But the first thing I thought of was, because I do a garden, I blanch and freeze things. I do can some things as well, but since I am learning, I freeze more than what I can for the moment being. And the first thing I thought of when I realized it had been a few hours and it wasn't coming back on anytime soon was, oh shit, my food.
Right.
You know, like, so canning is a more practical option for that too. I've saved my food, thank God. But,
right.
because I made that a priority. I went to the store and bought them out of ice and filled all my coolers and filled them up until Graham got home with the generator.
One thing when the power goes out for the long time like that, you know, the first thing you gotta do is make sure you eat the ice cream so it doesn't go bad and melt. You know, that's the one benefit. You pig out like crazy for a couple days because you're eating all the bad stuff you've been saving off, and yeah. So you get riddled with sugar and, you know, you're hopped up full of energy and warmth because you're running around.
I'm such a stickler on eating the way that I have been lately that when we were all going through that, I was cooking on my grill because I refused to go to the store and buy pizza.
Mainer ingenuity right there, though.
I made coffee on the grill that morning because we went out around like 3:30 in the morning. I made a big batch of this soup stuff later on for dinner. I was like, nope, power's not going to stop me from...
I have been there and done that. That's one beautiful thing about having a grill, as long as you have a propane and don't run out.
Right.
You know, or even if you have a charcoal grill, you can do stuff that way. It's not quite as effective, but, you know, with a propane grill, I've done it before. I've boiled water when I've been out. You know, luckily, since I've lived at my house, I have only ever had like a couple times where I've been with power for like more than a day. And I've always, you know, so I've been pretty lucky that way. But I have in the past used my grill to boil water, to, you know, cook stuff, whatever. It is an option. You just got to think outside the box sometimes, because I know people that, if they don't have access to a microwave or an electric stove, they're very confused on what to do, and they would probably just sit in the dark and starve to death until they ran out of like dried food to, you know, eat. They'd be sitting there eating. They'd probably eat like dried pasta and just, you know, something or something. There are a lot of people out there like that, you know, unfortunately, that don't think outside, you know, they don't think outside the box, I guess, you know, when it comes to that sort of thing.
Right. I'm like the problem solver. I remember when I woke up and it was at like 3:30 because it doesn't take much to wake me up, and I noticed the power was out and I thought, okay, hopefully it comes back on before my husband goes to work. And then it didn't come back on, and I thought, okay, how the heck am I going to make coffee? So I don't want to freak out.
Rachel is the MacGyver of food cooking and preparation.
I used a bandana to filter the coffee into the mug and everything. Like, it was old school stuff.
Now, I think I sent you a link to one of those old school coffee percolators. It's like a camping percolator.
I think you did.
Those things are awesome.
Sure
Those things are awesome. When my dad and I were out camping this fall, we used one of those, and it makes such awesome coffee. It takes a while for it to, a lot longer than what we're used to as far as like, throwing the filter in the coffee pot and filling it full of coffee or your Keurig, but it's amazing. So good. It's so strong. If you like strong coffee, that is the way to go. And I like strong coffee, so.
If it's not like putting hair on my chest, I want nothing to do with it. I love strong coffee.
I don't know if Graham would.
Hairy.
I don't know if Graham would appreciate the hairy chest, but
It depends on what you're into, I guess. And I'm like, hopefully he listens to this later and goes, oh my God.
So Graham, if you're listening, whatever floats your boat, buddy.
I'm not hairy, I promise.
So where can people check out Rachel Rage's Bite Me blog?
It's right on Facebook, because people are giving me suggestions on, like, what is it, WordPress and all this other stuff, and everything I wanted to do, I would eventually have had to pay for it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to anything related to food, if it's as far as information and stuff goes, it needs to be free. Everyone's got to eat in order to not die. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a Facebook page. So if you go and search Rachel Rage's Bite Me blog, I'll come up.
This is just a suggestion, but you should seriously do a podcast and put it up on, like, YouTube. You don't even have to do, like, the way I do it and have it up on a server and all that. Because then it would still be free, and you could put it up on YouTube. Just do like a recipe once a week. Do a recipe and break it down and show people how to make it and stuff.
I always wondered how to do that and be able to make it look okay. Like, how do I carry my cell phone around my kitchen? Or I got a webcam on my laptop. That might work.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, and there is honestly and I know you're smart enough to do, figure it out. And there's a lot of tutorials. You could use if you have, a smartphone, which I know you do because we're recording this on your smartphone. You can use your camera on that, and you could use your web camera and do both, and then just kind of maybe edit the two different things together, do a couple different angles, and then just, break it down. And I'm sure I could help you with it. We'll talk more about that offline. And,
right.
But I think you could set it up in a very simple manner. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't need 20 cameras and lighting and, just do something simple and just
That's good.
Maybe, I'll help you if you want. I'll help you if maybe I can help you figure out like a format and the way you can go about it. Make it real.
That would be super helpful because I've never done that before.
Yeah, make it really simple. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to video editing or anything like that, but I think we could, make it simple enough that you would have to do very little editing with it and make it so it looks good. And as long as I think people get the general idea and see, because I know for me, sometimes reading a recipe, I have questions or, maybe it's not spelled out exactly in an understandable way. So if I watch somebody do it, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's what they're talking about. Or, yeah. I see it. So I think visually sometimes it's better to have that visual representation than just like a text representation of something.
Well, that I completely agree because when I started helping my friend whose name is Tina Cook, she's called Chef on the Run in Belfast because she runs her own food truck. And she's awesome. Her food is to die for. That's one place that I will eat willingly because I know it's not full of junk, but it still tastes awesome. But in reference to the whole, watching it done on a video and things like that, when she started using like chef terminology around me and I had no idea what she was talking about, I am definitely more of the visual learner, and she would show me like what a julienne cut is.
See, I have no clue what the hell that is.
It's like a fancy word for thin slicing.
So I would just be like, hey, you want to thin slice this? You know, I'm not in the tech because that's not really my realm of expertise. I'm an okay cook.
Me either.
I'm an okay cook, and you know, I can usually figure stuff out. Definitely a better baker than a cook because
see, I'm the exact opposite.
I worked in a bakery, a large scale factory style bakery for 8 years, and that was my job, was to mix and make stuff. So.
I'm not a bad baker, but I've had more fails attempting to bake things than I have cooked them, that's for sure. And I don't use that terminology on my blog anyways. It's usually full of swears and bad jokes.
But I don't bake that much anymore because I've really, in the last year or so, have been trying really hard not to eat better and, you know, not eat stuff like a lot of the baked good stuff I eat. While it's delicious, it's absolutely horrible for you, and I have no willpower when I make something tasty like that, and I just end up destroying it. So it's it's working. I've lost almost 75 pounds since last March, so I'm making progress. So
no, progress is progress. It's so easy to gain it, and it's horrific to try to lose it. It's not fun, and it's definitely not easy. So you should definitely be proud.
And the thing is, and this is something else, you know, and I didn't realize it. I use an app called My Fitness Tracker. It's free. You can download it on, like, Google Apps or the Apple Store and stuff. But having that has made me so much more aware of the amount of calories that are in foods and, like, different things that are in foods that I never paid attention to before. You know, stuff I didn't think it was any big deal to eat, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, you know, this cookie snack thing that I get once a week has like 600 calories in it. That's a whole meal.
Right, I was going to say, there goes like, you know, a quarter or a little over a quarter of your calorie intake for a day.
You know, I've cut my calorie intake like almost in half or more since I've started using it. And it's not going to work for everybody, but if you're diligent about it, it just makes you more aware. And yes, it's a bit of a pain in the ass when you first start using it, because you do have to pay attention and you have to enter stuff in. But once you get used to doing it, I personally found it very helpful. I also realized that I definitely was not drinking enough water, and that's something else that I've gotten a lot better about over the last year.
Well, it's hard when they tell you to drink 8 glasses a day.
It sounds
you
so
can do that with beer.
It's so daunting.
But you can't do it with water.
Right, it's so daunting. You're like, 8 glasses of water.
It's a lot.
You know, but then you think about it like something I do, and it's also, from what I understand, it's a really good way to get your system kicked up and going early in the morning. Like when I first wake up after I brush my teeth and do all that stuff, I drink 2 16-ounce glasses of water. I just chug them. So that's 32 ounces of water out of the way right there. That right there is 4 of your servings of water done in one shot.
That's a good way of doing it. I never thought of it that way.
And it really helps get your system going in the morning because that's, you know, you've been sleeping. You're actually, I think most people are probably a little dehydrated first thing in the morning when you get up.
Right, that's why they call it breakfast. It's because you're breaking fast.
Right. And that's why I think so many people enjoy that long shower early in the morning because you're absorbing water through your skin and you're getting your groove on. So
I actually, when you asked me for the calorie intake of that soup, I use the fitness tracker app that you use in order to calculate that. So when people ask me, I don't count calories because A, I'm lazy, and B, my whole thought process is as long as I'm scientifically eating the way I'm supposed to, I shouldn't have to count these calories, which has proven to be true over my past year, to be quite frank. However, when someone asks me for them, I just pop that app open, I enter everything in, and that's how I calculate it out.
And that's the great thing about that app. If you cook a lot of your own meals, you can actually create meals on it, so you don't have to enter everything in every time you do it. You make your meal, you call it Rachel Spicy Sausage Soup. And once you've made it and everything is in there, then when I have that meal, all I have to do is click on it and bang, everything is there.
Yep. I've done that for, quite a few people, actually.
So,
I have a few of them in there.
So, I mean, there's a lot of awesome stuff with that, and, it's good to know. So everybody needs to check out Rachel Rage's Bite Me blog on Facebook. Go find it, add it. There's lots of cool recipes on there, and she knows what she's talking about. It's very delicious.
Hey, thank you.
So something else I wanted to ask you about. You just recently had a photo featured on a new calendar that just come out.
Oh boy, yes, I did.
Rachel was a model for the Average Joe sponsor, the Maine Cannababes. She was one of the Cannababes that is on the calendar, and
that was unexpected. I was just supposed to be the hairstylist.
Well, you look absolutely beautiful in that photo. Just so.
I appreciate it.
And that photo suits you so well. She's Miss October, by the way. So, and for those of us who know Rachel, that fits her personality and her right to a T.
Oh man, when Jenny told me, because she had me do all the hair for the girls as well as a few of the promo shoots, and she said the model, or the original Miss October, was not going to be able to make her appointment, and that, we were trying to stick to a time frame so bad on this, and she said, it's for October, and really if it was any other month, I wouldn't be sure, but will you please fill in for her? And I was like, that's fine, I got tons of creepy stuff at my house, I'll just bring it all over.
Now the Cannababes just did a benefit thing the day before New Year's for the person that they have been raising money for. You went to that, correct?
I did. The whole thing is all of it, even the sales online, it all goes to Gary.
Which is awesome, and that's one reason I love having the Cannababes as a sponsor. I think you guys are doing an amazing job helping people in need out, spreading positive information and resources and all that sort of thing. And let's be honest, who doesn't like looking at gorgeous women on a calendar? I'm going to be a typical male. I mean, I'll say it. I'm not ashamed. I like looking at hot women. It's nothing wrong with it. So. And you get to look at these beautiful ladies that are doing this for a great cause, and you get a cool calendar out of it. So,
well, I remember when she was pitching this idea to me, and I loved it because it was a nonprofit thing. And she asked me if I'd be willing to donate my time and my services, and of course I was. And I was trying to get a feel on what it was all about. And she said it's retro girls in a pinup style way, just beautiful girls covered in a bunch of weed. Do you want to do that, Rachel? And I said, sure. Why not? It'd be fun.
And it's funny because we've known each other for quite a while. And, I know anybody who knows you, Rachel does have a mouth like a sailor at times.
It's so bad. It's bad.
But Rachel is also kind of shy when it comes to that sort of thing. So it's kind of cool to see you come out of your shell to do stuff like this a little bit. And and I'm being serious and very honest and a compliment here, because I hope this doesn't sound stupidly creepy, but you're a very beautiful lady, and you definitely need to have that confidence because you're an awesome person, and you definitely when you are in your element, you definitely what's the right word? You just kind of throw that confidence out to other people. So it's kind of cool to see you getting that self-confidence to do stuff like this and kind of, break out of your shell a little bit. It's awesome. It's knowing you as long as I have. That's something very, very cool.
Well, I'm not going to lie. When I had to fill in, I thought, oh my god. Because it's not like I've never modeled before, but it was for a weed pinup calendar. So, but I couldn't say no because it's Jenny and I love her and I support this cause 110%, and you can't back down from that. I took one for the team and I'm on that calendar. My friend sent me a photo of my month and she said, look what my little brother found. And I was like, oh my god, I seriously want to go crawl in a hole and die. I also went to high school with said little brother. It's like, oh my god. But it's been a ton of fun too, but knowing that it goes to such a good cause, a lot of people just think that, you know, that we're raising money for this random one guy. Gary's story is almost frustrating to listen to. Unfortunately, like he shouldn't be having to deal with this at all right now.
Oh, it's very, very much bullshit.
It really is.
And
so,
if you want to find out more about Gary's story, I believe there's a lot about that up on the MaineCannababes.com site.
Yes, there is there. You can also find it on Facebook on the Maine Cannababes like page, and Viceland.
Weedakit ran an episode about Gary, and also the Maine Cannababes were featured on that episode as well.
Oh yeah, I remember doing the hair for that day. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. It was crazy.
Oh, I can imagine.
And when I saw the episode, I watched the full thing, and it gave me goosebumps because of not just us getting our name out there and things like that, but how much airtime really that Gary's situation got on there, and really shows people what kind of a horrible situation someone can be put in.
All because people have a stigma about marijuana and what it is, and
Yeah, it wasn't even like a state legal thing. It was a hospital policy. Yeah. That's all it took. And now it's been he's back on the list, and I'm pretty sure they got him back on the list in the spot he was in, which they
I hope so, because I know he was pretty close to getting a transplant, if I remember right.
He was damn close, and they took him off because this hospital policy said, well, we don't do transplant on medical marijuana users because of some random mold thing. I've never even heard of it. I know tons of people who smoke weed for multiple different reasons, and they have surgeries and they're fine.
Again, I think it falls back into it's kind of that archaic Stone Age stigma that's put on people that use marijuana.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. But I'm pretty sure he's back on it. They're just trying to pass this thing where, and forgive my lack of political terminology, I'm not very awesome in that field. They're trying to pass this thing like LTD, some number.
I think they're calling it. I think it's known also as Godfrey's Law.
Yes, they're trying to get it so this does not happen again. He has to have dialysis 3 days a week to stay alive.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, you smoke pot? Never mind, you're off the list. That's awful.
It's too bad, that's basically, to me, and I don't want to get on a big rant about it, but, let's dope you up with 14 different types of narcotics that could kill you quicker than not getting your, to manage your pain and whatever else you're dealing with. But there's this plant that's been used for thousands of years, and we're going to deny you a transplant because that's how you choose to manage your pain instead of pharmaceutical narcotics.
And that's the whole point behind this, and that's what they do. They can offer Gary a bunch of these narcotics, but he can't take them.
And a lot of them, and a lot of those are super addictive and horrible for you. It's why we have this huge friggin' heroin epidemic and this huge pill epidemic is because this shit gets pushed on people.
On top of it all, Gary was completely legal.
Right. He had a medical card.
And he was completely legal too. He had his medical card. Right. And it's not like he was abusing anything by any means, but you give somebody opioids, eventually, depending on the mind frame, you could potentially abuse them, and that's not good.
And unfortunately, and I'm not naming names or anything like that, but we have friends that have gone down that road, and unfortunately, it's pretty much ruined their lives. It's terrible. So if you want to find more out about what this cause and what the Cannababes are doing, again, like I said, go to MaineCannababes.com. There's all kinds of resources on there, and I believe there's still calendars available if you haven't had a chance to pick yours up, and there may not be many, so you probably want to jump on that very soon if you haven't got one yet.
Right, yeah. They also are we're recruiting for next year here soon too. So if anyone's looking to become a part of this, you'll be able to find the information on Facebook. And I'm not sure if it's on the website, but I know for 110% that it is on Facebook. So if you're looking to get involved in something like this, don't be shy. We're very, very, open-minded people.
But I will say they're also very serious about what they do. So if you're just looking to kind of like screw off and think you're going to get all famous or whatever for doing it, that's your only reason, don't bother. They want people who actually give a shit and, you know, are able to participate in events and do things like that, you know. So keep that in mind if you are interested in being involved with the Cannababes. So, you know, this is something I was curious about. I just thought of a little earlier in the show and I wanted to bring up. So what are some this is the first episode of the new year and we are first day into 2018. What are some of Rachel's goals for 2018 with the different projects and things you are involved with?
Oh,
I'm putting you on the spot.
I actually have. Well, no, because I don't do New Year's resolutions because I always feel like they set people up for failure to a certain degree, like the idea of them.
Well, this doesn't even have to be a resolution, but just things that you know, goals you want to work towards professionally and, you know, that sort of thing.
I have really, really big plans and goals for my garden and what I do in the kitchen, as well as other goals. But I'm really excited because I'm going to create my own little herb garden this year where I'm going to grow a bunch of parsley and rosemary and all that other fun stuff and maybe start drying my own herbs because I started getting into making my own tea blends and that would be really helpful not that Harvest Time in Augusta sells them for pretty cheap, but if I can grow them, why the heck not, right? And I'm also going to start making, even for all the rest of these heathens in my house that can have gluten, I'm going to start making my own breads. If you turn around a loaf of bread, it's horrifying. It really is. There's high fructose corn syrup in it. It's crazy.
But the breads that I eat nowadays are all really weird, very low calorie. They definitely don't taste like normal bread. They're pretty much cardboard because there's nothing in them bad, and it's odd, but I still like to have sandwiches and stuff and toast in the morning, so I suffer through it.
Right, exactly. So my whole goal next year as far as food stuff goes is if I can make it, I'm going to, period. If I could have chickens for my own eggs, I would. My husband does not allow it. Because he doesn't want chickens all over the place, but I don't like ticks, and this whole family likes eggs. So I thought that it would be great because they will rid your entire area of.
Oh
ticks.
yes.
They love to eat them, but I've got big plans as far as that goes. And of course I'll be slinging hair all summer long as far as wedding season goes. It's gonna be nuts. Ugh. One other goal though, a really big goal of mine is I want to go down to the Rock and Shock convention in October in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Because I met an artist at the Comic-Con in Bangor that me and you both were at. And, he's a comic artist, so he does some pretty cool stuff. I've got him, actually, I'm looking at him right now. They're hanging up in my garage. His name's Brian. And he came over to me on the last day and he said, you should really check out Rock and Shock. It's a horror convention. And I said, well, my stuff isn't gory by any means. And he said, no, but it's really, really dark and I feel like you'd fit right in. And I want to do it so bad this year. I just didn't do it last year because it's really expensive. And I just didn't want to deal with it. And if I'm going to do that, I want to be able to plan and calculate and have everything all set up. That's one of my main goals, is to go down there and do, then my art.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to have, a good stock of things to take down if you're going to do something like that. Because the last thing you want to do is not have enough inventory and get down there and run out and then, you've paid for your table for 3 days or whatever and you're running low on stuff. So it's kind of figuring out the logistics of getting stuff down there and having enough or not making too much. That's the nightmare of doing cons, is figuring all that stuff out, because it is definitely a learning experience.
Absolutely. I gotta agree with you there, because I didn't know what to bring or how much to bring of what and stuff like that with hair. I mean, I'm self-employed as far as a booth renter goes. I know exactly how much I need to make every single day, and at least in order to break even. And, everything after that is my quote-unquote paycheck. Right. So figuring out that for the table was not a big deal. But I had never done a convention before. Do I bring small stuff? Do I bring big stuff? Do I bring canvases or just do spray art? Like, I had no idea what I was doing.
And it's such a crapshoot. Every one you do is different. Sometimes the little stuff sells good. Sometimes the big stuff sells good. Sometimes it's a combo. Sometimes you do well. Sometimes you don't sell anything. It's so up in the air and just random. Like, this was my first year doing a lot with my book stuff. And every convention I did was different. There was no rhyme or reason to a lot of it. It was one convention I would sell every copy of this book and nothing of the next one. The next convention it would be just the opposite. And then I would have one where it was like I sold a couple of each.
Right. No, I feel you. That last one that me and you both were at, that was a rough one.
It was rough. I at least made enough to pay for my table and gas, thankfully. So
yeah. That's what I made too,
that
pretty
was
much.
The key, and it's, and I understand, because sometimes with like newer conventions, especially, they're just kind of getting off the ground, so it takes a few years for them to really build up, and I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it as long as I'm getting my name out there and I'm not like losing my house on it. And at least they were, and they were affordable enough, so it wasn't a horribly big deal to, if I did.
And I wasn't expecting like a massive crowd either, because I knew it was like their first year.
And I had a good time hanging out with everybody and the different vendors that I've gotten to know, from doing all these and just different.
But we had like that whole wall of our crew.
Yeah, we had a whole section that was like all people we knew or, got to know. So, and everybody was really cool. So it was kind of a fun little time. Even when it was slower, we had, got to joke around and chat and do all that stuff.
Oh, I had a blast.
So it was awesome. There's many pictures of this up online. If you look, I'm sure there's, well, most of you won't be able to see them because they're not on my Average Joe's Drive-In page. And, but yeah, well, there's some cool pictures anyway from this whole thing. So getting into, as we always do on Average Joe's Drive-In, I want to talk a little bit about TV and movies before, we get to run over too much time here. So what have you been watching lately that you have found interesting and you want to talk about?
I can talk all day about The Walking Dead.
Well, let's talk about Chappie a little bit, because you and I discussed that a little bit. And I haven't seen it yet. It's been one of those films that's been in my queue on Netflix forever. But I have avoided it.
You gotta watch it.
I've avoided it because, like I told Rachel, the director did a film called District 9.
Right?
Session 9 is a different movie that is awesome, by the way. But that's a haunted house film, not the same film. District 9 was directed by the same director. And while it is an awesome movie, it is, like I was telling Rachel, it's a rough movie to watch because of the subject matter. It's very heavy. And even a big tough guy like me that gets a little emotional and weepy during it because it's just one of those movies. And I've kind of got the same vibe off of Chappie, so I've been like, I need to be in the right mood to watch this because
it's actually really funny. Like, it's really comical.
Oh, really? So it's not what I'm thinking it quite is. So.
Oh, there's some parts in there that there's one in particular part where Chappie's going through this realization that I kept looking at my husband and going, oh my God, this is so sad. But it's over pretty quickly, and it's nothing that they don't recover from, per se. But, and it's kind of the subject as well. And do you know, like, what Chappie is?
He's a police robot that kind of gains, he's like an AI police robot that gains human emotion, or he becomes kind of like human-like to the point of start like questioning things and stuff. That's what I got the general idea.
Is it I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. I won't spoil anything. But is it kind of like okay to give you like an idea?
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead, because
clarify?
anybody that's listening that doesn't know, maybe you'll sway them into watching the film.
You've got to watch it because you're pretty close. He's a rejected police robot, and the engineer who made these guys has been trying to engineer a program where they're a person and they have emotions and opinions and different abilities other than just being a fighting machine. And he obviously succeeds. And sorry, he has to, he has to test it out. And Chappie is his first one that he tested out on, and how he goes about going through this and learning how what he just made works is rough and interesting. But when he gets the program into Chappie, he starts out as like a baby. He doesn't communicate well. He doesn't know how to speak yet. And he has to teach them these things. And that's what makes Chappie absolutely adorable in a sense at one part of the movie, because he talks like my daughter. It's so cute. It's awesome. And the whole concept is really, really cool. And there's funny parts because, Chappie ends up learning things from people he shouldn't. And my husband loved the movie, and we don't agree on much when it comes to movies or TV shows. So for us to both really like it to the point where we watched it again twice in the same week. I highly recommend it.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to move it up on my list of stuff to watch. So I've been as far as TV shows, I've been binging on, I get these weird kicks of where I want to watch certain types of movies. And in October is always horror month for me. Most of the year is horror year for me, but I go through these little spells where it's just I need a break from horror movies. And, so this last month and a half, I've really been on a sci-fi kick. So that kind of would fit really well into that whole theme. So I'll definitely have to check that out.
If you don't laugh at least once during the movie, I'd be really surprised. But it's not totally sad, but there's a sad part. It's not full of constant action, but there's tons of it in there. It's a very well-rounded
I don't mind
movie.
sad parts in movies. I think that makes movies awesome. It's the really heavy-handed, deep movies that I kind of avoid. Not necessarily avoiding them completely, but I can only handle so many of those in a I can only handle
before you start feeling
and then
heavy.
As someone who suffers from anxiety and depression, that's not the best thing to watch sometimes, especially if you're in the wrong mood, because it just sets you on a downward spiral of feeling sad.
So true.
You start analyzing things in your own life and everybody else's, and it's a weird path to go down. So, I think a lot of people who suffer from this sort of thing kind of can agree on. And we were talking about, I'm watching currently Ash versus Evil Dead on Netflix.
Are you?
Awesome. I just finished season 1. I'm about 4 episodes into season 2 right now. And season 2 is way better so far. I like season 1 a lot, but season 2 just took it up a notch. If you like the Evil Dead movies, it is stupidly gory and funny, and
I love
it's
Evil
that
Dead.
same humor. It really is. If you like those movies, you would love the show. And the episodes aren't that long. There's only 10 episodes per season, I think, roughly.
Oh,
but it's on Netflix. 2 seasons on Netflix, and Graham probably would even like it, to be honest. Because it's got a lot of action and a lot of kind of raunchy humor, and
he likes the humor.
So it's got a good, it's like I said, it's very much like the Evil Dead films, especially like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
I love Army of Darkness.
Yeah, so it's kind of along the lines of that.
God.
And Bruce Campbell is back as Ash, so,
Oh, no way,
Yeah,
really?
he's playing Ash in the show, and he has a couple of sidekicks, and I'm absolutely in love with Dana De Lorenza. She's beautiful and awesome, and she's a badass. So,
That's
and,
super cool.
and Pablo,
I'll have to check
and
that
the
one
other
out.
main character, Pablo, is great. He's funny as hell. And Lucy Lawless is also in it. And, yeah.
Oh my god,
yeah,
really?
So Xena Warrior Princess, well, she is married to Sam Raimi, the director of the Evil Dead movies. That's her husband.
I did not
He
know
also
that.
directed Xena Warrior Princess and Hercules. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was...
I've learned a
That
lot
was
today.
Sam Raimi. There's knowledge for people who didn't know that. That's his
funny.
wife, yes.
I really
Lucy
didn't know
Lawless
that.
is his wife, yes. And Joxer from Xena Warrior Princess is his brother, Ted.
That's funny. I had no idea.
Yeah. So I've been watching that. That's what I've been watching outside of movie stuff. But what else we were talking about? What was the other show we were talking about beforehand that wasn't The Evil Dead that you said you just watched?
Like TV show or movie?
I can't remember. We were talking about another show or movie beforehand.
We talked about Chappie, and of course, you know that I'm obsessed with The Walking Dead, and we also have watched The Punisher.
Punisher, yes, that was it. Also one that I have in my queue. I've kind of heard mixed reviews about it, so I've been like, eh. But
we actually liked it, and it had the person who plays Shane on The Walking Dead. That's Frank, and he did a really good job at it. I was pretty impressed, really.
Yeah, and I just, I have to limit myself on the amount of shows I'm watching because I have a tendency to either sit down and binge them all, but I can only handle watching X amount of shows at a time. So usually I have to wait till I get through one to start another one. And I just, my viewing habits are so weird because I like movies. I like to sit down and watch a movie and I'm done with it. TV shows, it's got to really, really capture my fancy for me to be able to sit down and just, focus on that show. I have 3 or 4 shows I've been watching this season, and I'm like, I haven't finished any of them. Network style TV shows like The Orville, which I absolutely love, and that's hilarious. I'm about 4 episodes behind on this season of The Walking Dead. I still need to finish up Stand Against Evil. And this person keeps calling me because they have the wrong number.
Awesome.
I don't know why. This is the 3rd time they've called. Apparently they're either drunk and don't know what's going on or whatever, but yeah.
You should answer it and just be all like, I was driving. How can I help you?
Answered it once already, and they were like, dude, is Chris there? I'm like, no. And they were like, oh, is this Todd? I'm like, nope. I was like, you got the wrong number, buddy. So that's the 3rd time they've called this number.
They're probably
I'm
drunk.
guessing they probably are, or something else. But yeah. So anyway, The Walking Dead, I'm behind on, and Stand Against Evil, which I absolutely love, which has John C. McGinley in it. I'm only a couple episodes into that, and I'll get to them, but this is why I like having a DVR.
Right.
So I got cable back. I got rid of it, but I got a good deal and got cable back, so I've kind of got it mainly so I can watch hockey and football, but outside of that, I could care less. I don't really watch a lot of TV, and most of the stuff I watch I can catch on different apps and online and stuff, so...
I love my TV
But I
shows.
do want to watch Punisher. I still haven't finished Daredevil. I watched most of the first season of Daredevil and then just kind of got sidetracked and have never gone back to it. And like I said, I can only handle so many shows, and it's got to be I've got to be in the mood for that. So Stranger Things, I watch in 2 days. I watch all season 2 of Stranger Things, which I absolutely love that show.
I've heard good things about that, but I heard good things about Shameless too, and we watched just an episode so far, and me and Graham, which we both have, I'd like to say, good senses of humor, and the whole time I was watching, I was like, I don't get it. It wasn't hilarious to me like everyone was making it out to be, I guess. I wasn't impressed. Maybe it gets better, I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of times, shows, especially depending on where you jump in on the show, you have to kind of give them a few episodes, especially if you start right off on season 1. A lot of times it takes a show 3 or 4 episodes to find its footing. Because I kind of thought that with Ash vs. Evil Dead was, while I liked the whole first season, the first 3 or 4 episodes were a little slow, but like the last part of it was amazing. So keep that in mind if you watch it, that the first 3 or 4 episodes, they're good, but, they're not quite up to par as far as the awesomeness of the rest of the show. But you're establishing characters and the storyline, and, so it's a little slower going than once it really gets into the meat and potatoes of the show, so. So, before we close things out, I do want to talk a little bit about Walking Dead. I'm only in about 4 episodes. I just want to get your general thoughts on what you think about this season so far, because really, overall, I've heard a lot of people aren't digging this season, so I'm kind of curious. So,
really?
I've heard that from a lot of people. So I'm kind of. It's been a few of like the real diehard fans that I know that really like the show seem to really enjoy it, but some of your more like casual type fans are not liking it, from what I can tell. So I'm kind of curious, where you're such like a diehard Walking Dead fan, what your thoughts are.
I can see why like the casual one wouldn't be as thrilled with it, because I have read most of the comics, and where I'm assuming that someone like that probably hasn't. They don't know, I guess, like this is all they know, and it's kind of it's such not a disappointing season. Like, it didn't disappoint my expectations, but just to see things go, like, you think it's gonna get better, then it gets real bad. And then it gets a little bit better, and then it gets really fucking bad. And then it's like in and out the entire time. And the way that they did the mid-season finale is not in the comics at all. I was not expecting it. My husband hates that show. He hates it so much. And you know me, I love it. And sometimes he'll look at me and go, so, who do you think's gonna die today? And I gave him my prediction. He said, you know what? I don't think that's it. I think it's gonna be this person. And he was right. And I was mad. It's not, it threw me for a complete loop. So, hats off to the people that are doing the show, keeping everyone else on their toes. They're doing very, very good at it. The show gives me anxiety.
I've heard a few people say that. That's one thing about the show, is I do like the fact I'm not really super up on the comics. I mean, I know bits and pieces because of articles I've read, but I've only read a handful of the earlier ones, so I'm not really like up to where they are now, but I kind of know enough about the different comic stuff and different things, so I kind of have an idea when new stuff gets introduced and whatnot. But that's one thing I think they do a really good job, is they don't follow it, exactly. They do add some different elements in. But just from the first, I think I'm 4 episodes in, and the first 4 episodes are pretty heavy-handed. They're pretty heavy-handed, and which I get a lot of people don't like that. You know what I mean? They want more of a light at the end of the tunnel sort of thing, and especially the episode I left off on, you kind of get that feeling that, all right, there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and then it just goes to shit.
Yeah, that one ended really heavy.
It was really heavy, and I like it.
I'm warning you, though.
And that's one thing that I think is pushing a lot of people, just being like, because not to spoil the show, but if you haven't seen it, when Glenn and Abraham die, that pissed
bad.
so many people off.
But that's how Glenn dies in the
Right.
comics. To a T. Not Abraham. But Abraham was already dead at that point. But
it still pissed me off because Glenn was one of my favorite characters in the show.
Oh no, he was mine too, and I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Graham asked me, who do you think?
I really thought because he died like that in the comic that they wouldn't do that to him, that they would pick somebody else, and I figured they were going to pick a major character that wasn't Glenn. And truthfully, I would have been okay with that. I honestly really thought they were going to take Daryl out, is who I thought they were going to take out, because he's not in the comics.
That's true.
I thought that would have been the time for them to, if they were going to get rid of a major character, one people love and piss a lot of people off, that would have been the time they would have took Daryl out. So it did kind of shock me, and it didn't, but it just pissed me off because I like both Glenn and Abraham were two of my favorites on that show.
I loved Glenn. I wasn't a huge Abraham fan, but I loved Glenn. And when Graham asked me, again, so, who do you think's going to die tonight? I said it's either going to be, in my prediction, it's going to be Abraham, because he's already dead at this point, or it's going to be Glenn, because this is how Glenn dies. And Glenn's death in the comics is just as brutal and horrific and disgusting, with the whole eyeball thing. Yeah. It's so bad.
That was definitely a rough scene to watch.
Oh, it was awful. I remember I actually grabbed my phone, and do you remember Dustin Orr?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Holton? I picked up my phone, and I texted him and his girlfriend, who are both diehard Walking Dead fans, and I was like, I think I might cry. Even though I knew this was coming, I think I might actually cry at this point in time, because this was so hard to watch.
Right.
But when they first killed Abraham, I was like, oh, thank God, maybe they'll spare Glenn because he's such a loved character, and it'll be just Abraham. And I was so wrong.
Right.
The way they filmed it, they made you think like, it's gonna be alright, we're good. They killed the beefy redhead, we're good. And and instead they go around and bash that poor little Glenn's face off. It's so sad.
So, I'm curious to catch up on these four. I do this every year with The Walking Dead. I always watch the first handful of episodes, and then I either A, wait until the rest of the series is up on Netflix, or I wait till there's like a marathon on, and then I binge the hell out of it and catch up.
Right.
And another show that I watch, I've done the same thing this year, and I do the same thing with that every year, is Z Nation.
Oh, yeah. I've seen pieces of that.
It's a zombie show, but it really is absolutely nothing like Walking Dead, other than it's a group of people in a zombie apocalypse. It's definitely a more lighthearted show with a lot more comedic elements to it. But I really enjoy that show. I mean, it's cheesy and kind of B-movie, but I enjoy it. But I do the same thing with that every year. I watch the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then all of a sudden, it's like when it comes out on Netflix, I'll binge the whole season in like 2 days, because that's what I end up doing with most shows. I just never find the time to actually watch them when they're on, and I go to bed early most nights, so staying up late to watch them.
I don't sleep. I get to catch up on all my shows all the time because I don't sleep, and that's actually I swear it does give me anxiety. I actually like a lot of shows that give me anxiety, like Dexter. Oh my God, I love that show. But it gave me such.
That was another show I never got into. Was Dexter, and I know everybody tells me I would love it. It's like right in my wheelhouse of what I like for shows. So
I love Dexter. If he was a real person, I would be his #1 fan. I would stalk him like people stalk Charles Manson.
I don't know if that frightens me or not, Rachel. That's
I'd just be there on the sidelines, waving pom-poms around, being like, "Go Dexter, go kill those bad people." It would be awesome.
And on that note, I think we're going to wind the show down for the day, because we're at that right time of the night. once again, I want to, I want to thank Rachel for being on the show. Rachel, why don't you throw out some websites people can check your stuff out on real quick?
Absolutely, and thank you, TJ. If you guys just go onto Facebook, you can look up the Rachel Rage's Bite Me blog. You can also look up the Maine Cannababes that way. I don't really have like a website. Oh, and also, if you're interested in any of my hair slaying, you can always search Rumor Has It at the salon that I work at right in Augusta, Maine. It's a pretty unique place, and it's super awesome. I love working there. It's good stuff.
Awesome. Once again, like I said, thank you for being on. Check out the Maine Cannababes, my awesome sponsor, which we have talked about a bunch already in the show, but I want to thank them again for being a great sponsor. You can check out Average Joe's Drive-In on Facebook at Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Thomas Washburn Jr., Twitter at TWJAuthor. Go to thomaswashburnjr.com. And if you want to help support the show, there's a cool way to do it, and you get something out of it instead of just donating me money. You can go to Amazon.com, type Thomas Washburn Jr., and my books are available in both physical and Kindle format. So if you buy some of my books or, Kindle stuff, it helps me because I can put that money back into the show, and it will help improve the show and help me get new equipment and pay for my hosting sites and all that, because it does cost money to do this, and I love doing it, and I'm going to do it regardless. But, hey, you throw a few bones my way, and I'd really appreciate it. So, once again, you have been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn, and I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.